8:30, we'll call the meeting to order. City Council for budget session, February 7th, 2026. The mayor is gone. Our pro tem is also gone, so the mayor asked me to step in to chair the meeting tonight. So I'll call the meeting to order. And first thing is approval of the agenda. Can we get a motion on that?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay. Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That passes. Do we have Julie on the phone, or you're just texting?
She's just gonna text me.
Okay.
She's listening in
Got
because
it.
she's ill today.
Okay, we do have a consent item on the calendar for a Class C retail alcohol license for the Bremer County Fair Association. We have a motion on that.
I'll move the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. This is not a normal thing for us on this, but it's just a timing issue for them to be able to do an event. So, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That one passes. And we move to our study session, and I will pass it over to James.
Yes,
Let
sir.
you start.
So it's our second of hopefully just 2 meetings, so we get kind of wild today. We've been through about everything budget-wise. The remaining items at hand are the nonprofit presentations for the funding they would like to receive today, which we have individuals here that will do that. And then we'll work into any other questions you might have on anything in the past meeting from 2 weeks ago, and then we'll cycle into our project list, which is probably the last piece to identify if you want to produce any debt for projects or not. Staff is prepared to any scenario you can probably come up with. We've been through this so many times this last week or two, just anticipating what might be. There's some limitations we'll talk about when we get there that we want to stay within for a number of reasons, but otherwise, council willing, we would probably have the first nonprofit come up, sir, and do their presentation. So if anybody wants to eager and jump up, I can sit and call you out. I don't want to do that either.
Let's start with the chamber.
You know,
Oh. Sorry,
There you go.
okay.
Thank you, sir. Until you're where council does have your original presentation, your original request is in their package, they've been through it, so
Okay, perfect.
it does not need to be a lengthy recoup of that.
Just the
I'm
red.
going to press them and you can hold on to the extras as well if you'd like. For those who maybe aren't here this morning.
Council, it's the
Get those
red
around.
section towards the back of the budget book.
Yes. It's under Health and Human Services for those of you who want to look in your book again.
Red, health and social services.
Social Services.
Yeah.
Have a seat.
Wonderful. Good morning and thank you for having us. I'm Carly Schmelzer and I'm the Chief Operations Officer for Northeast Iowa Community Action Corporation. I've been with the agency for 11 years and have formerly attended the city's budget hearing meetings as the agency's Operations and Development Director for the past several years. Joining me this morning is Nicole Greasy, our Family and Community Impact Director, and we look forward to continuing to deepen your understanding of the need for your ongoing support of our programs and services here in Waverly, while highlighting the significant impact that this support continues to have on the residents of your community. All of the staff and volunteers here are very helpful, non-judgmental, and extremely nice and knowledgeable. My family could not have made it without their help. The staff is always very helpful at the Bremer County Food Bank, Northeast Iowa Community Action. We are very thankful for this service. Thank you for all that you do to make each person feel important and that they are worth something. I never thought I would be on this side of the table again in my lifetime, but I am proof no one ever knows what life is going to hand them. Thank you for your helping services. I hope I can get back on my feet and give back to the food pantry. Money, time, volunteering. NEICAC staff was so helpful and kind to us. These are just a few quotes that we've collected through satisfaction surveys from customers who have received a service through our office here in Waverly. This feedback solidifies how we carry out our values of respect, responsiveness, and compassion, and our ability to do so is in part a result of your financial contributions to our agency. Our mission is to advance community development and improve social and economic conditions for individuals and families with limited resources, and we do this through quality family services, advocacy, education, and many, many partnerships. Federal funding is our largest share of revenue, with additional funding from state, local, and private sectors, thanks to supportive cities, counties, churches, individuals, and businesses. It's important to highlight the economic impact our agency has on the communities we serve. The work done through community action agencies not only helps those living in your community, but also provides business to your local businesses, such as utilities, landlords, auto mechanics, hotels, grocers, and more. You each have a packet comprised of the following information. There's a lot in the packet. We're not going to review it all in depth. The first page is just kind of a story overview, some of the history of our Community Action Agency. Next, you have an agency program rack card. So that includes all of our programs and services we provide, and on the back is our office locations. There's also a LIHEAP specific program rack card in there, so that is the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. Next, you'll find a 2025 snapshot of all county services provided. So we serve 7 counties in Northeast Iowa. That will include some data covering all counties. And then there's one for Bremer County specific. And lastly, there is a snapshot of all of the City of Waverly services provided. I know this is a lot of information, and I think I've said this in the past, especially with the rack cards. If you don't have a use for it personally, if there's a church or a community location that you can distribute the information to that might be helpful to someone who is looking to access our services, we would ask and encourage you to do so. In our program year 2025, we served more than 9,200 individuals with $3.3 million of assistance. And the dollar amounts provided do not reflect the costs of providing service-focused programs, such as our FADS home visiting program, Head Start, the food pantry. That is just the direct financial assistance that was processed to support individuals across our organization. I'm going to hand it over to Nicole now.
Thank you. So I will primarily be reviewing the final piece in your packet, which is specific to the City of Waverly. In program year 2025, we served 759 individuals from more than 330 households with over $120,000. Most of which were federal funds, which are going directly to the city or vendors connected to city residents. We also employ 1 staff member from the City of Waverly and 2 staff members from Bremer County. So let's look at a few more of the specifics for Waverly. And this information can be found on the City of Waverly's handout in your packet. NEICAC operates the only food pantry in Bremer County, which is here in Waverly. And you can see the data on Waverly households and individuals served in our program over year 2025. Compared to 2024, we provided more than 33,846 additional pounds of food and essential non-food items. LIHEAP is financial assistance for a portion of home heating costs during the winter season and can also include repair or replacement of non-working furnaces. Head Start offers free full-day preschool services. Crisis assistance is help for emergency needs that arise for individuals and families. This can include financial assistance for utility disconnections, past due rent, eviction notices, car repairs, and prescriptions. Program direct assistance dollars are supported through the United Way and Community Foundation grants, with funding for staff time to process the assistance being a challenge. NEICAC has built and owns several homes and multi-unit apartments that provide safe, affordable housing for those in need. In Bremer County, we have built 7 lease purchase homes. Family Development and Self-Sufficiency, often known as the FADS program, is a home visiting program intended to address families' basic needs, support them in goal setting and achievement, improve children's well-being, and help them develop a career path. We also have the Weatherization Assistance Program. This addresses health and safety in addition to energy efficiency improvements in residential homes. Work completed often includes insulation, LED lighting, and the repair or replacement of furnaces and appliances. Applications for the LIHEAP and Crisis Assistance Programs, in addition to the food pantry, are operated through our Family Services Outreach Office and Food Pantry here in Waverly. Additionally, our Family Services Specialists assist with applications and family engagement for our Head Start classrooms in town and make referrals to other internal programs and other available resources for those in need. Years ago, we recognized a need to relocate our office and food pantry to a location that would offer better parking, confidential space for appointments, and a better layout for food pantry operations. In mid-October, we relocated to our 1805 Horton Road space. We know that council members have previously voiced concerns about the space where we were formerly providing services, and we are happy to share this change with you all today. We also want to take a moment to recognize a couple of local partners whose contributions were imperative to making the space operational for its new purpose. Wells Hollow Landscaping participated in the Waverly Shell Rock Area United Way's Day of Caring on September 11th. They generously volunteered to assist with grounds maintenance at our property. Their team completed tasks including tree trimming, removal of outdated landscaping, and the removal of several dead trees. Additionally, we sincerely appreciate the support of the Waverly Rotary Club, which contributed funds and was awarded a matching grant to help transform the space to better serve the needs of those who access our services. These funds assisted with fresh paint, replacement of office flooring, updates to our outdoor ramp, and electrical work that was necessary to maintain the safe and efficient use of refrigerators and freezers in our pantry space. It took no time at all for the new space to be put to good use. Shortly after relocating, we experienced record-breaking demand at our food pantry. On October 29th, we served 27 households and distributed over 1,600 pounds of food and essential non-food items in just one day. The increased capacity and improved layout of this new location have allowed us to safely store more food, operate more efficiently, and serve families with greater dignity. Since the move, pantry usage has remained steady and in many cases higher than in previous years. For comparison, in November of 2024, we served 161 households, totaling 374 individuals, and in December 2024, 143 households and 356 individuals. In November 2025, we served 191 households, totaling 500 individuals, and in December, 145 households and 405 individuals. So these increases clearly demonstrate both the growing need in the community and the importance of having a functional, accessible space that allows us to respond quickly and effectively. We truly appreciate your financial contributions and again are requesting $10,394 for the City of Waverly's upcoming fiscal year. We understand that budgets continue to be a challenge for you, as they are for us, and we continue to operate with one full-time specialist at this location. We are utilizing several volunteers regularly as well, and we now rely more than ever on community support to continue providing the level of services that we do. Administrative dollars are short for state and federal programs, and there are no available grant funds to sustain food pantry operations. In 2025, we spent just over $20,000 on food and essential personal care products to maintain the supply necessary to meet the needs at this pantry location. In closing, we want to thank you for the continued partnership the City of Waverly has shown our agency. Your investment is not just a line item in a budget, it's tangible support that helps individuals and families remain housed, keep utilities on, access food, and work towards long-term stability. We hope you will continue to see us as a trusted partner in meeting the needs of your residents, and we respectfully ask for your consideration of our request for the upcoming fiscal year. We're happy to answer any questions and appreciate your time and thoughtful consideration today.
Any questions from council?
No, I think it's a good investment. Thank you for your work.
I just saw pictures of the new facility and and talked to Claire, and it's just amazing how much better
Yes.
that space is working.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. All of that.
Yes.
All right,
Well,
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Go to chamber.
Hello, Chelsea Peterson representing Waverly Chamber, Main Street. Thank you again for continued partnership. You have our request, $35,000 for the Main Street and then the Chamber investment as well. So as the Chamber and Main Street program, our role is to promote Waverly, encourage visitation, and support visibility for our local businesses. The city and business owners each play important roles in our district as well, and we are here to complement those efforts. Right now, a lot of what we do is based on events, deadlines, and available time. So with additional funding, that would allow us to be more consistent in our efforts for a steady visibility for Waverly throughout the year. Consistency builds awareness, and awareness brings people back to Waverly. Events, we do events well. Events bring people to Waverly. Our role is to ensure that those people that come and visit want to come back. And so continued promotion after the events keeps Waverly top of mind. Storytelling helps reinforce of why Waverly is the place to come, a place to stay, and a place to work. Our new website will give us digital tools that can give us better insight into who's coming to Waverly, what they're looking for, how they're accessing information. It can also help expand our QR code project that we unrolled last year at the soccer complex at Cedar River Park at Wartburg College to connect people to downtown and to our businesses. Business retention is closely tied to visibility and confidence, and so by promoting our existing businesses more consistently and staying better connected will allow that positive reinvestment downtown. In 2025, we had 22 building projects and $2.2 million of private investment. So 2025 was a challenging year, but yet we showed our business owners, our property owners showed great resilience and investment in Waverly, and that's super important. That's why we're here to do our work. So we've also been successful in securing grant funding, and those grant dollars just multiply the impact of the city. This request is really about maintaining momentum, strengthening consistency, and continuing to support Waverly as a place people want to visit and invest in and live. We're grateful for your partnership and look forward to continuing that. Questions?
I would just note for Luann and Barb, new members, that Chamber comes out of the hotel motel
That's why I couldn't find it.
So it was
Okay.
in the budget line item if you're looking.
Okay.
I saw Barb kind of flipping and it was like,
Figure out
it's
where
a
it
little
is.
bit back further, but
Okay.
yeah, I think Chamber has been doing a nice job and especially with the bridge closure and now with it open again, let's get some things really kicking.
Absolutely, it's a pivotal year to continue the momentum and to expand on that.
And I just had a question, I was flipping through too, looking for this. How does this compare to last year's request?
Yes, it is a $10,000 increase.
And is that, Chelsea, is that for the, because I can't find my sheet.
Main Street.
For Main Street program?
Correct.
Okay,
Main
and
Street
is that for
programming.
a specific project you have in mind?
Not necessarily, just to continue to enhance all of our work through all of those things spelled out. Our work would continue regardless, but it would just be lesser scale, less impact. And because of our two-man show and volunteers and everything, we have to start, stop, and so we lose momentum sometimes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
mainly to
So it's a $10,000
continue the
increase.
things you're doing now? Is that your, so
Pardon me?
it wasn't for a specific new project that you have in mind?
Enhance our project, so we have, we're not gonna stop existing.
Yeah, yeah.
But we do have our new website that is gonna really enhance our businesses, but we'll have to scale that back, and that impact may not be as great in year 26, 27 as it could be with additional funding to add time, add that strategic marketing. It's not all about social media, but with Google and SEO and everything, there are opportunities, investments that to keep Waverly top of mind for people throughout the state and region.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Senior Center, okay.
Good morning. I'm Cindy Campbell, and I'm here for the Senior Citizens Group, Inc., Waverly, also known as the Waverly Senior Center. And I think you have everything, so I'm not going to keep kind of grinding through that, but we do have some things happening here. We had requested $10,000, and that goes towards our payroll, in which to keep things going up there. I will mention that we do have a new chef that just started in January. Josh Furman is his name, and he actually did some studying at Cordon Bleu in Minneapolis, so we're kind of excited about what he will bring to the table with that. November was our last 506 Cafe. That was our fundraiser that ceased being a fundraiser. And so we have a steering committee that has also been developed, and one of the things that we will be starting in April is a new fundraiser called Dinner to Go, which will be a curbside pickup in the afternoons, 4:30, I think it is, to 6, and it will be a take and bake meal along with a dessert. And so this would be for anybody. This is not just like centered on seniors. And so we're hoping that that will be good. And we've actually talked to several young mothers that were like, oh, actually I could do that every week, but it'll just be a once a month thing. And should go smoothly for us. It'll fall into the same time frame as it was for us conducting the 506. So we'll see how that goes. We will be doing again the Waverly Shell Rock Prom Dinner. Jolene's already been in contact with Whitney at the high school. Our attendance wasn't huge last year, but we think it'll be better this next year. And it's a way for the senior center to also connect in with younger generations. We also have connected with Dr. Pierre's Wartburg's Winter Marketing Communications Program, and we're looking for possible new rebranding. And a fresh look for the senior center. I will tell you, we still have people who come for the first time to the senior center who are whispering because they don't want to wake anybody up. They think we're a nursing home. So we are looking that maybe the senior center could get a fresh look, and so that will be a fun thing. Construction has started on the Mitchell Room, which is in the lower level. That was our wood shop for many years and also had really lost any kind of service. And that will open up us opportunities for additional programming, which with as much growth as we've had, it's starting to get a little tight on the first floor, activities, and then more for private rental space. It also will have a floor that is suitable for dancing, which we are looking to maybe have some dance lessons and things coming there. There was a new survey, and I do have a copy of it. I don't know if you want me to pass it around to take a look, but we try to do surveys on a regular basis to get a feel from our clients on how we are doing. So that is just going out now. I think this week was the last week for that. They've introduced tea time, which is a new function. Apparently, the tea house, tea room in Cedar Falls closed, and they did their first one in January, which, excuse me, many more people than they expected. Excuse me, bad time to get froggy. And we actually had some people come up from Cedar Falls for that, and so now we're going to take reservations to make sure that we're well suited for that. We have a jewelry sale coming back up again for our fundraising. And our latest data that came in, I don't think that was available at the time I submitted because it didn't include December, shows our growth that we were up by 250 people in 2025 from 2024. And this was particularly unique because in January of 25, there was a couple of bad storms, and so we were closed down for a while. And also how the holidays fell this year, both Christmas and New Year's, were at a part of the week where we were closed for an extended amount of time. So we really considered that to be a real milestone. So the city's support for our payroll is extremely critical in keeping us going, and we really appreciate that. Last year I messed up, but this year I think I put in 12,000, the correct amount. So if we would qualify for that, it would make a huge difference. We also are working on a campaign to increase our volunteers. We have a pretty good core group, but we don't want to wear them out. So we actually have one person that has just started on that, and we're going to expand that a little bit more. So, are there any questions? Anything you want to know about the senior center? As our
They're
liaison, we appreciate that.
hardworking bunch, so.
Yep, and making a difference. It's a great place. Come up anytime. Coffee's always on. Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy. And Heritage Days is not here, but I can put in a plug for them.
I'm gonna say, do you want to say something for
Yeah,
Heritage Days
yeah.
as rep?
So I'm the council liaison to the Heritage Days Committee, and they work all year round. They are requesting the same amount as last year, $8,000. It doesn't go toward a specific, part of Heritage Days. Everything, the costs of everything have gone up. And last year, as you might recall, they ran into some difficulties with their main fundraising venture, which is the can collection, and that has been straightened out, so that is going much more smoothly. So I anticipate their fundraising will have no surprises this year, but everything is more expensive, and they really make an effort to keep, I think nearly all of the activities there are free. So I think it's a good investment in the community. A lot of volunteers pull together to make it happen, but the committee is very involved all year round, and I think it's a good investment. They're not asking for an increase this year.
Hopefully the grounds out at Memorial Park will be somewhat clear of construction equipment and everything for them for Heritage Days. Knocking on wood.
We aren't sure. We had a good meeting last year in the spring to just sort of talk about what was going to be available and how to adapt, and they're pretty flexible. The city staff is extremely helpful when it comes to setting up and assisting with logistics down there. So I'm sure we'll have a meeting to figure out what's going on.
There's still construction there from the pool at the end of July, we have bigger problems.
Exactly. Bigger problems than Heritage Days.
But that's not gonna be the top of the list of my problem.
If we get to that point.
Yeah, that's not a good
I
situation.
was gonna say, well,
That better be out of the
I hope we're able to celebrate with the new pool and everything with Heritage Days.
A lot of hoping happening.
Yeah,
We'll see what happens out there.
Mother Nature probably will play a big part of it. I think the only other big one on there is the regional transit, which is a regular
Intercom.
donation based on population, so it's,
We've generally not had them come down and talk about that. It's pretty specific to what they do, so,
Yeah. And that's a census-based
yes, ma'am.
contribution.
Yes, ma'am.
don't have the Human Equity Commission anymore, and historical preservation is a small amount that we
It
put in
is.
for.
Usually it's for signage, awards, things of that nature.
They do some plaques around, put some markers up around town occasionally, as far as noting historical sites on buildings and the
Yes, sir.
signage in the various historic areas that we've got designated, so.
Yeah, very active group.
So. I believe that's it for our contributions or our designations. Any questions from council members on that? Okay, so we move into
We'll
all
cycle back
projects.
through, probably budget first to see if there's any questions, any issues, anything that's come up in the last 2 weeks. Staff is here to answer those questions. So, I don't know if you want to go back through department by department, or if you just want to look at it as a summary, see if there's anything specific that you want to talk about. It's certainly up to you.
I can't think of any major questions I had going in, just wondering if anything's changed for staff since we met.
They're all still here.
Yeah, I mean, anything different in your budgets or other concerns, or everything looks about the same? Okay, for the viewing audience, they're all saying no changes, so.
Yeah,
It's fine. The only thing we've looked at adding, and this will take us into our project list a little bit, is talked to Val, we've been looking at, funding is gonna be key going forward for all these projects, and some of them are significant in size, and so, there are grants out there are federal programs out there, but there's a lot of preparation to get into those programs too, and sometimes it takes a couple of years to get into some of these, so there's always discussion on the rail trail bridge right next to City Hall here, what's gonna happen to that, when it's gonna happen, et cetera. There are programs that can help with that bridge, especially the size of it. We put that at close to probably a $3 million project, depending on what happens there. And with inflation, who knows what that'll look like. But there are some federal dollars or some larger amounts we can go after. But one of the biggest things we need to get done first is a feasibility study. And so we do have funding we are putting in for a feasibility study. It's about $48,000. That will basically determine if you don't build it, what does it do to the community? If you do build it, there's 2 or 3 different ways to do it, and so forth. And without having gone through that process, we will not be eligible for grant work going forward. That is the first step. Next step would be partial plans, et cetera, if you decide to go forward and replace that bridge. So we will have that slated in we're just determining the best way to put it, best place to slide it in there, but that is the only major change from 2 weeks ago, was the feasibility study being added as a project. WHGS has done our bridge work for quite a long time. We most likely have to do that feasibility study, and I don't know if it'll take divers coming in again or lowering the dam or what it'll be to see, but you're gonna want to determine what the future of that bridge is gonna be, and that'll be the first step in doing that. It's been how long ago we were talking about 26, 27, we'll have to start looking at that. This is 27 right now, so we probably need to start figuring out something going forward. Because when you look at that, you look at the dam we talked about, that Justin, discussed last time, that's coming up in the next 5, 7 years. All these things are gonna start to accumulate on the river that we're gonna need to address with little ability to push them off and not address them. So one way or another, we're gonna have to get these figured out. That's the first step on that one. At least get that going. Other than that,
So James, you
Yes, ma'am.
added that into the budget?
Yes.
Where did you put that?
that's what we're determining. It's probably gonna be
Okay.
Fund 301 or something along that line. I don't know, Val, have you determined where it's gonna go yet?
Still deciding between 301 and 374 to rail.
Okay.
Oh, okay,
If there's funding in the rail trail bridge category, we will take it from there. We're still determining what that funding looks
Okay.
like. So we have engineering for the next 2 bridges that will go in there already, so it's a matter of what that's gonna look like too, but it's one or the other. It's in a capital fund somewhere. It's just one of those 2. So other than that, things are the same as they were. Payroll, we have police contract signed, but we'll have a session on that next meeting to lock that down. We were able to do that in about a day. The insurance is still where it is. We're hoping that comes in less. If it does, we'll make that adjustment. depending on how much less. I think we have an 18% increase in there. If it's 17.5, probably not gonna adjust that, just so you know. The work it'll take will eat up the 0.5% we might save. So if it's a little more, we'll adjust that down, try and lessen the impact all across everywhere, but we hope to have that in another week. So worst case, you can always go in higher and go down, you can never go up. So by leaving it as it sits, that's worst case scenario. We will again drop that when that information becomes available. Hopefully it's a better view than what we were seeing initially. So usually we have beaten it, it's just by how much. I think there's only 1 year it went against us, and that was not a good year, so. Any other questions, anything budget related up till this point? And we talked a little bit about debt, we've been through the water sewer funds, we've been through police, fire, parks, rec, above ground, below ground, everything you think of. If not, then we're probably gonna go back through our project list and see kind of where you're wanting to go. If there's any debt you wanna take on, you can, you don't have to, it's whatever you'd like to do.
And James, could you give us, before we do that, could you give us the lay of the land again about where we are with just the department budgets that have been presented and how that looks for increases or staying the same?
Right, as far as like levy tax,
Yeah,
et cetera?
yeah.
Sure. Let me dig that out.
Just to refresh us.
That's right. Right in front of me.
Sort of where we are if we don't do any, maybe, I don't think we're not gonna do any capital projects, but if we didn't, where would we be? Sorry to spring that
No,
on
you're
you.
fine, you're fine, you're fine. I've got, always got it somewhere through here. So even with what we talked about earlier, you know, with the rollback going down further, your rate has to increase just to be even, basically, in a sense, because you're pulling less funds off each property that was there. I think in light of all that, with no debt and our insurance as it sits, our levy, which I know everybody gets so hopped up on the levy, it's just one piece of it, and I wish we would just get away from that. It's gonna be within 7 cents of last year's levy.
Okay,
And so that's really the impact with everything involved except the debt. It'd be about 7 cents. Now, 7 cents going up does not mean a whole lot because the rollback drags down so much that you'll be definitely lowering taxes at that point. Assuming we were gonna do some debt, we didn't really run a scenario of what if we don't do debt, what's it look like for the taxes, but I did run some on, if you do, say, replace the debt that we are about to have paid off, so we're fairly even, that's about a $3 million bond roughly, which is what we'll get into with some of the other projects. The hard part is not knowing what property went up and what property didn't go up in their assessments. So 4.8% is what we grew. It doesn't mean that's what everybody went up in their assessments. Some could have went up a lot, additions, et cetera. Some went down, some are flat. So we can run 15 variations of this and give you a whole range of what might or could have been. We focused on if your house stays the same. Last year, this year, your valuation stays the same. Then your taxes will decrease. Now, the minute I say that, the media jumps all over it. City's lowering taxes. You put on a half a house and then they go up and they wonder why, and then we lied and we're screamed at, and it's just a great time. But if your property valuation stayed the same, taxes would go down about $20 per 100,000. That's with the debt we haven't even discussed or put in yet. So it's significantly more than that with no debt. Of course, you have some projects that we probably are going to have to get done. But that is about the best I can give you, is about $19, $20 decrease, even with the debt in there due to the rollback.
per
100,000
Yep.
of your house's value.
Okay.
Yes. Now, if you get to about, not quite a 3% increase in your valuation, it gets to about zero, a couple dollars per 100,000 right in there. And that's about where that should be. You start thinking through the math, your bell curve, that's about where it should be. If you go up to about a 5 or almost 6% increase in valuation, which is where some of the averages were, then the flip side, again, it's the other side of that bell curve, you would have about a $19 or $20 increase. So again, it all depends on what happened to your individual property. We can't predict what happened to everybody's. But depending on your individual property, your taxes will go down. If it's a lower amount, they will go up. If it's a higher amount, which makes common sense. And then the middle will be about at 3%. And so if you had your little chart, like you get Brian here and do his mathematical, woo, look at that. It's a bell curve. Middle is about 3%. So that's about where we sit. And that includes debt we have not even purchased yet. Okay?
Okay, thanks.
You bet. So, that being said, projects. And as I mentioned in the email before, we've talked about these last fall. We talked about them in the first meeting, and we're gonna talk about them again. And then we'll hopefully decide if there's any you wanna go forward with. Talk about the ramifications of what that does or doesn't do, and kind of what that looks like. So, SRF are the big ones, we'll jump right into those. We've already talked about those quite a bit, the lift station, the sewer lining. I think all very good projects, they're ready to go right now. Engineering is done for the most part, it's just a matter of moving forward. And the other is the water sewer at Heinz addition. The challenge with SRF is, obviously we're only gonna take out what we need. Not any more, not any less. But when we get estimates in, they cover every single thing about it, even things we've paid for. So it's difficult to move the needle on where does this sit. So they're running probably 2.5 to 3 million. Is that a fair estimate, Justin? Each of those projects, depending on what they're including, from contingency to engineering to what if. There's a lot of what if in these, because you don't know when you start getting in the ground doing water mains, things like that. But that's where they're gonna run, it's about 2.5 to 3 million apiece.
A piece,
Yes, so about 2.5 on the Heinz edition,
yeah.
maybe give or take. And then the lift station improvement and the pipelining, the contingencies they put in there are substantial. I don't know if we think it's gonna be that much, because it's a pretty straightforward project. You have a pipe, you line it. So I'm not sure, again, I'm sure things happen, but that's gonna be probably 2.5, that area as well. We thought it'd be about 2.3. We're gonna hedge it to about 2.5 or so, maybe a little more, depending on how this all shapes out.
For the Heinz edition, you mean?
No, for the Eastgate lift station
Oh,
and the
okay.
sewer lining.
Okay,
Heinz edition,
gosh.
we still think is gonna be about 2.5,
Okay, because I wrote down
give or take.
a lot less there, but,
For Heinz edition,
no, for the Eastgate, I mean, from the last meeting.
about 800,000,
800.
and the rest is the sewer lining, depending on
Okay.
footage,
Okay,
pricing, how that goes. So again, that's all non-tax, non-property tax, so I don't want people panicking, $5 million, it's non-property tax. These are lining fees for water, sewer, so it's gonna pay for this. We've had debt come off those areas. The impact will not be what people may think it will be.
Okay.
Adjustments we made to accomplish that debt, but the long-term effect of eliminating all the water, the inundation, the leaking, especially with Eastgate and everything else, will be substantial. And then you'll see a huge drop, I think. Because I'm trying to think, Justin, how many miles are we lining a sewer? You know offhand, how many feet, how many miles we're doing?
25,000 feet.
So almost 5 miles.
24,000 feet.
So that's a lot of lining the sewer systems. It keeps the leaks from getting in there, gets rid of the tree roots. It just helps to solidify those areas that have been a problem with inundating those lift stations. So something we should have been doing a long time ago, year after year, maybe possibly. It's a good project, I think, to get done in an area that needs it severely. So I think we'll be in good shape.
and Justin, is that all over town, or mainly in the older areas of town, or
All over.
all over? Okay.
What percentage of the sewer lines would that take care of? Roughly, half of them, a third of them, I don't know.
380,000 feet of sewer lines.
And we would be doing 20, okay,
So a
good start.
little less than 10%.
Yeah, okay.
We've done some in previous years too, not that much, but.
Because a lot of them we don't have any issue with.
Right,
The newer ones, especially, see some of the older areas that leak. We probably still have clay tile in the ground. I assume that's reasonable. Who knows what other materials that are in there, 50, 80, 100 years old.
Some of these would be doing be along the river too.
Right.
That are inaccessible by traditional construction standards for digging or excavating. And you don't want to replace these.
So if we can forward on that, and not have to replace them, it'll be a good thing overall, so. The last one that we would have, which will be an SRF, would be the new well that we've been working through, siting, moving through, we're using our PFAS money for that. I won't probably include that in this debt if you move forward with those other projects, because that'll come at a different time of the year. And it's not as large an issue to do SRF funding middle of the year versus the other ones, GOs. The cost is not quite as substantial to do the SRF like that. So we will probably not do the new well at the same time. And cost-wise, we don't really know yet where that's gonna sit. That's kind of why it's hard to
Okay.
measure. We put $1 million in it before. That may touch it, that may be too much, maybe not even close. It all depends on what's gonna be needed once we figure out where that well site's gonna go, so.
So that can be discussed later.
Yes. Okay, yes. So those are the water projects that we would have you consider, mainly, like I said, Heinz Addition, lift station, and the sewer lining. The general obligation debt, which is the traditional debt that we do, as the normal things that you'll see us do year after year, those are some of the smaller projects. We'll touch base on a few of them. 10th Avenue Southwest, that's probably the one we've talked about the most in a number of years. We talked about it before. The bridge closure, we've talked about it during, after. DOT will provide some funding for some of the damage that was done. It will not be enough. It's never enough. We've actually noticed some damage on the parkway, which we think is also potentially part of this, so we will be doing some repairs on that as well. This is not tearing out the entire roadway. It is doing deep sections of each area that's bad and replacing that instead. To tear out that entire stretch of roadway would be a lot. I don't even want to estimate what that's gonna look like. But the concrete patching that we'll do, the deep patch, we're gonna put that at about $500,000. Should get that done with hopefully some of the patching on the parkway, using some of the DOT's funds on top of that, so. I know we need to do our diligence on the bridge, get that finished, get the railings in, all that stuff is coming, but the detour has been officially lifted. It's just a matter of us getting that funding now from the DOT. And there's some forms that we're filling out to try and accept that that'll be the amount we'll get, and then we'll see how long it takes to get it, but I think it'll happen in this fiscal year if you want to move forward with that project.
And so, yeah, so we don't know how much we're getting from them, and that should cover damages on the whole stretch of road.
Just over 50,000. So
Oh,
the
just-
DOT will pay us.
Just over 50,000?
About 50, 51,000, something like that.
That's it?
We have
Yep.
to cover the rest.
That's it.
Okay.
So again, some of this was needing to be done before the
Yeah,
detour
yeah,
too. It's
right.
not all this, it's just worse.
Right.
And then the parkway, that was a little surprising, some of that, but we'll see what that looks like, those
Okay.
places there. So questions on 10th? Kind of get the gist of what we're looking at doing there.
So you're anticipating an entire budget for that of about 500,000?
Roughly, maybe 550, but that would come from the DOT, the 50 if we
Right.
did that. But
Okay.
we would only go after 500 for.
Maybe I'll let
we
you
would
try
find.
And will our crews be doing that, or is that something we would farm
We would
out?
not bust that out like that. That
Yeah.
would take a while.
Okay,
The amount of traffic and the need to work through that, I think we'll have that shipped out for sure.
okay.
Cemetery roads, we brought up a handful of times, and as we move on, I've talked to Garrett, and we're gonna pull back on the actual cemetery roads.
Okay.
Because if you go out to the road we talked about that runs in front of the main building out there, that is by far the worst section out there instead. And that we do want to continue to try and improve and fix. That'll probably, we have it about 100,000 to get that stretch done as it runs by. I would advise you go out there, drive on it, see what we're talking about, the crumbling on the sides, the breaking, et cetera. But we think we can go another year without the expansion into the cemetery itself for those additional roads. So we will try and look at that again next year. If you still want to do it, that's up to you, but that is not something we're proposing at this time, just to try and get that other piece of road done through there. And we would hire that out too, because that is a full-on reconstruction most likely coming for about 100,000. 13th Avenue Southwest, that was the one that kind of snuck up a little bit. I mean, at least I was not aware of it, I'm sure Justin was, but
That's the one by the,
describe it,
that's by the
it's
Super
High
8?
D.
By Super 8?
Yeah.
High D
In front of the
Hills.
Super 8,
Okay,
right through there. It's only a couple blocks or so long, but it's not real good. We're looking at what these utilities are underneath. They're not too bad. I don't think there's storm sewer. In fact, I'm just ad-libbing here and let Justin do a quick explanation on this project, because I'm assuming, and I don't want to tell you something that's wrong, and if you would, Justin, please. I think I'm starting to lose my voice, so it's better that way too.
Yeah, this project we've been watching it for the last few years. We patched a lot of it. It's not a lot of sub-base underneath it, so usually when that happens, the concrete just breaks up, and that's what you're seeing there. If you look in the parking lot of Quick Start, or Hy-Vee and those area there, they've been replacing a lot of theirs because it's the same conditions. So far, the water is behind the curb, so I don't think we need to replace that. So that saves about $100,000 off the project. And same with sewer. I don't think the sewer is we cambered it yesterday and the guys didn't sound like it was too bad. So that we might be able to save a little bit of money there. Some intakes might need to be updated, a few things like that, but it's just basically surface restoration and put some sub-base in there. Because a lot of that ground out there is really, what do you want to say? It moves around a lot. I don't think it's the best sub-base under there.
So that's just, what's underneath there, just some utilities, or is there a sewer going underneath?
Yeah, there's sewer under there. Well, like I said, the water is behind the curb on the Hy-Vee side. So I don't think we need to replace that, because if there's ever an issue, you can always address that. And storm sewer, there's not a whole lot in there. A lot of it goes into that pond by Hy-Vee. They have that detention pond there.
Any other questions on what the scope of this is? We have that at about $500,000.
Surface
as well.
replacement and sub-base creation, and you think
Sub-base prep.
that will hold it for
Yeah.
a good amount of time?
And a lot of those, Hy-Vee has done some of their driveways into there, right? So, I mean, we'd be connecting to the stuff that was already done by them previously. We've kind of shifted off alleys, we've been doing
Yeah.
commercial alleys. This is kind of the next step, a little bit further. But like James mentioned, that number's a little higher. That was including some utility work, so we could probably reduce that down quite a bit, taking out some storm sewer and some no sanitary.
And so what are you thinking for a final estimate?
I don't know, I think the estimate was 450 or something like
And
that,
then
500,
just the
yeah.
unknown of what was gonna be underneath, and we hit it.
Yeah.
So I don't know how far we'd wanna reduce that down.
I gotta check in the sanitary, make sure it's 100% good enough to keep.
So that would be worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Because again, depending on the sewer, if it's not quite what we think all the way through. And plus the base is not gonna be cheap to dig that out. I don't know how far we're gonna have to go down to get it and then rebuild it. Like I said, if it's moving around, I don't know if it's sand, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
That's the fun part of building, digging in Waverly, you know what you're gonna find. From bedrock to sand to God knows what, and this is one of those areas that we don't know what we're gonna find.
Yeah, we all know there are, issues out at McDonald's, right? So, I mean, a lot of moisture in that ground, so I think it's a matter of, trying to dry that up and get some good base in there.
So I don't wanna go in with too little, and then we can't get it finished, so I'm probably gonna ask you to leave it at that $500,000. If there's additional, again, options you have now, there'll be another project, you can pay down debt with it, you can do whatever you need to, but I think not knowing exactly what's in that ground, unless we do boring, and even that doesn't always hit it. We've had many a boring miss, rock right next to it, and it wasn't there.
Yeah, that was just a rough OPC that we got from Bolton and Mink.
So I'll ask you to
Okay.
leave that at $500,000 if you go forward with that project, just because we don't know what that's gonna take, and how deep that's gonna have to go to get it correct. Thank you, Justin. Any other questions on that? Trying to think. The last project then, Geo, would be the remodel of the clubhouse, and then I'll take it as in the loss as well. As you know, we had a referendum a year ago or so to completely remove that clubhouse and take 3 feet off the hill, flatten out a big area, that entire thing, and it was gonna be about $5.5 million, that's what the ballot language had said. Putting it on at the same time as the pool, maybe it wasn't the smartest thing that we did, but everybody wanted them on, had to have them on. Well, it failed, and it failed by a lot. So, based on the feedback we got, that it was just too much, or why don't we use what we have, things like that. We went back and started really looking at that building. Can we rehab it? How do we make it ADA compliant? What does it look like? It's still 80 years old. It's still chopped in places. Some of the work that was done, holy cow. I mean, not an electrician, I feel like I still could have done that, some of it. And it's just tough. And again, it was not our building. It was not anybody's fault necessarily. It's the way it was done for the last decade after decade after decade. So we got into it. We think that we can do a full overhaul. We've had architects in, some engineering in for the mechanicals. We've had some estimates in from local contractors as well for replacing other pieces of it. we think we can remodel out the whole thing for less than half of what that bond was gonna be. So we're at about 2.56 million, somewhere in there is what we think we can do. And that would be only 2 simulators. We're not gonna put in 4 like we initially thought. I don't think the room is there for that. All the cosmetics, better windows, which leak severely. Now, you were out there, you've all been out, you've seen it. It's not ADA compliant, you can't get second deck, this would do that. You can't even get in the building. This will accomplish that. We'll try and get the parking lot resurfaced as well, because that is getting really bad, some of the slope. Some of the hills out there around the backside of Clubhouse and so on. We brick up some of the building windows, especially the basement. If you ever go down there, you'll never go down there but once. You don't want to go down there again. We're just gonna sever all that, leave it, that's just gonna go as, new basement will be where the pro shop currently is. It's cleaner, it's more efficient, it's a lot less money to try and start fresh there versus trying to save what's down there. So just a lot of that kind of discussion went into it. What do we really need, what do we not need, what are the basics to get this done? There's a lot of cosmetic, there is a little bit of construction. Again, windows, doors, things of that nature that just haven't been replaced since who even knows. That'll, like I said, be about 2.5 million or so, 2.6 roughly. Of that, so this is not an essential corporate purpose by definition. This is where the weird bond stuff gets in. It's a general corporate purpose. Essential has no limits. General has a limit of 960,000 and some weird little number. That you can borrow without having to go back to another referendum. So 960,000. Our pitch would be, I've talked to Bell about it, the bond attorneys and everybody we need to, would be to borrow that on the true GO property tax side, but the rest of it would come out of local option sales tax. So even years before the referendum, we had a vote for local option sales tax and it was approved by 80%, which was astonishing, to allow pool and golf to also come out of there if need be. That's why we would look at using about 1.6 of that coming out of local option sales tax over 10 years, which we looked at the fund, it gets tight in a couple years, but otherwise it'll take it. The pool's in there as well, it'll take that, and then the things that we normally use it for. So it's possible, that would not be property tax, and that would be local option, again, that's what the voters wanted. So it's odd that we have 2 votes, one said this, one said that, but this is how I would propose you do it if you decide to go forward with it. So again, your decision, but it'd be 960 from the property tax side of it, 1.6 from local option sales tax over 10 years. And that would then finish the remodel of the clubhouse, get that off our table a little bit. Like I said, it's an 80-year-old building. It's the ADA part that bothers me the most. We witnessed it at the program we had out there, staff and everything. I'm grateful for the guys who can build a ramp that quick, but that's not gonna work. It still limits a lot of things that need to happen out there.
Well, it's not consistent with the law.
Well, that too. You are correct. We need to be able to have our buildings, especially if we're gonna try and enforce others, to be ADA as well, and that one is not, so.
Does that affect insurance too?
It hasn't, we were kind of grandfathered in, because we didn't
Okay.
do this initially, it wasn't our building, we've taken it over, we're trying to make strides to make it better. But yes, if there was ever an issue out there, we have nothing to say, oh, no,
Yeah.
it's okay. It's not okay, it just isn't
Yeah.
there, period. And so that's why we're gonna try and get this done one way or another. The most efficient way to do it is the way we've got it laid out now, otherwise, you go back for another referendum, put the entire thing on property tax, based on the vote we had years ago. I don't think that's what the public wanted either, it was partial relief here. In fact, if we had a few more years out, which I don't know if that building has that many more years out, local option will take most of that, if not all that payment period. So really, the first 4 or 5 years is all it's gonna be hitting us. The rest could be almost absorbed entirely from local option sales tax. And that could happen. So that's the beauty of how it sits. We will pay for it out of there, local option sales tax, but even the additional funding can reduce the pool. There's a number of things it can do, but the difference is this will have to come out of local option sales tax. It cannot come out of the GO, cannot come out of property taxes, that piece of it. But what I'm getting is the 960,000 you borrow, if the local option can take it, it could also pay for that as well. So it may pull the property taxes back in depending on the fund balance. There's a lot of options and variations once we get past that 4th year, I believe. And that is when the Parkway actually falls off, which is the big piece, and the ball diamonds fall off. And so that fund has been used for a lot of great things that have happened in the community. Like I said, Parkway was a big one. The ball diamond's getting finished, another one. Now it's assisting with the pool, possibly the clubhouse, depending on your decision. There's a lot of big things that fund has really been able to do. And so I'm glad that we have it that way, and it states what you can and can't do, so. That is it for project work.
That hits our debt capacity regardless, so, right? The 250 or.
The 960 would, and the local option, there's always discussion on whether it would or not. Either way, we're covered. We've got good capacity right now. SRF does not.
Right, yeah, SRF is not on the.
But what it does do is, we have only $10 million each year to levy for debt, and that includes hospital and utilities as well. All of us combined can only issue $10 million and still keep it as a tax exempt status bond. So hospital and utilities are not issuing any debt next year. SRF is included in that calculation, which is close, it does get us close, but only a portion of that is actual property tax. The other just counts towards it, even though it's not property tax, so. But we have to be mindful of that as well. And we are under that limit, so it still will be a tax exempt bond that will occur. They'll all be done at one time, depending on if you go forward with all of them, but that should about do it. The only other item we've talked about, and it's kind of a first for me, I'm not happy about it, but I don't see any other way, is equipment. You know, we've trimmed back some of what we'd like to do. Other funds are chipping in. There's 4 different funds looking to fund the list of equipment that we had. From road use tax to the water fund to solid waste, and then possibly geodebt. So the amount we were looking at was over $1 million. We dropped that down to $750,000. And that would include our half of the fire truck we talked about for fire. One of the 2 trucks for Parks and Rec, we've been trying for a few years to get the dump trucks that we need with the blades, which we are in bad shape needing those. The bucket truck with the dash and the duct tape, it'll get that one. And then, I'm trying to think, I think there's one I'm forgetting. And I think there's a larger 1-ton that was gonna go anyway with the wheel truck and that. But that is what that would do then, is we do 750. Those funds kick in as well, so that's what took it off of the $1 million plus, drops it down to that. You know, we didn't count on COVID backing everything up for years and years and years. So the process we had going was working very well as we needed to. When everything got backed up for 3 years roughly, and then you still couldn't get a chassis for 2 years, we still have that for the ambulances now. Even the fire truck, I'm not sure how far that's gonna be out. Trying to capture everything at one time simply doesn't work. This is a piece of what's vital. There's other pieces we're not including in here that we think can be pushed. But the handful in here, I mean, a fire truck is 30 years old. It's probably done what it can do. We're currently without some of our dump trucks and blades in the winter, which is not good as well. So those are the pieces we try to focus on completely, the ones we talked about. Photos were in the budget. We don't usually do this for equipment, but again, we didn't usually have a COVID either. That kind of backed us up so far that, you know, these have been pushed off for years, if you might well say. Because I'm taking those dump trucks at least a couple years. Should have replaced them. They've been down probably about as much as they've been running here and there. So I think it's necessary now to just find a way to get them replaced. So
half a fire truck, 1 truck for Parks Department,
we do
2
more
dump
one time.
trucks, and a bucket truck. Is that
2
correct?
dump trucks, a bucket truck, or is it that 3rd dump truck? One's going to water. So water's kicking in on that one. That's the newest one because water does not have one, which then takes them from street or you don't have it. It's just a limited amount of those type of trucks, and those are used for everything right now. So I'm trying to think I think that's it.
So the total for that, and then the different funds, there's, like you said, 4 different funds will pitch in
Yep.
for those. Okay.
Yep. The net that you would look at for debt would be 750. And that's probably 1 point, I don't know how many million in actual equipment.
Okay, so
But that's the
750 for the
amount.
general application?
For the debt, yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Excuse me.
Okay.
So we talked in the past about the water building. People wonder about that next to us. I sent you kind of an update on that. Personally, I think it's a project I'd love to see someday, but someday is not today. I think we need to hold off a year on that. Regroup. We got a large document on funding potential streams as well. I think that needs to be investigated fully. The engineering group, Bolton, that we deal with, they're aware. I've emailed them also. Very good renderings. I like what they're thinking. At some point, regardless, you'll have to do something with those walls just because the dam is hooked onto it. It's got to be preserved. The rest of it, but I think at least another year we can go before that happens. And then we talked about 39th as well, out by the fairgrounds. That is a bad road. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not easy to patch. I don't know how you're gonna fix. But if the county's not gonna do their portion until fiscal 30, jumping out that far in front, I just don't know if that's what we need to do either. Because that's a pretty good lift. That's $1.5 million probably, or close to it, so.
And it is on their plan for fiscal 30 or
That's the
not?
last I knew of. It looks like that's where they had it. We thought it was gonna be last year when we went in to talk about it, but it was shifted to fiscal year 30.
Okay.
And so we were probably going to be closer to that. In case there's economies of scale, materials, if we end up using the same bidder, same, who knows what it might be. But I think that was the other one that was looked at.
Back to the water building, James. So we're still waiting sort of for the latest report from engineering, aren't we, about what they've found, or did we get that?
I'm not sure where that sits exactly. We'll have to follow up on that. I know they have the renderings of what they'd like to see happen, and some cost estimates to help you kind of see what the phasing was gonna do. But if we have that, I need to relocate it and see what that looks like. I can't recall seeing the report yet,
Okay,
but I know they've done the work with the borings, and they've done what they need to do to understand what they have to do. That's why they're looking at some piers versus just filling in an area of it, carving off north and south of it. I had no idea that if you take the north and block it, the south actually feeds it back, so the water comes in upstream. I didn't know it did that. Well, it does. So that's why you have to do both sides to keep from flooding the base so you can actually fill it. Didn't know that. Now we do. So if you block off the north, it goes backwards upstream, it fills it in anyway. There you go. It's Waverly. So yeah, I don't know if the full-blown report has been issued.
Okay.
I'll talk to them about that, see what they're thinking, but
okay.
I just think it's good to hold off on that for a year.
So a couple of the other big things we're talking about, we got the 48 for the bridge here,
The feasibility study.
feasibility study. We're gonna wait on like Kid's Kingdom right now because gotta get the pool finished and then figure out exactly what we're doing with Memorial Park as well. Plus any potential fundraising that might go with that, so those are still a couple of years, a year plus, not this year, away for
Yes, sir.
us on those.
And the final two bridges on the rail trail, we're wanting to go after some funding for that as well, some TAP funding. So we're gonna hold off on that, plus then we'll have another study done, or not study, but another investigation done on the bridge to see if there's any issues with weight limits, that kind of thing. Right now, there isn't, and that'll tell us how they're progressing. So that'll be another year out too, as we try to get funding for that, to lessen the impact of Ivanhoe, which is a very large bridge.
Right.
Those are the last two remaining there, and that would be hopefully in another year.
Okay, then the other one that might, I guess, I don't know where it falls into line would be like streetlights and trying to update some of those, because we've had those that are dating out. Where does that fall? How does that fit in?
I'd probably have to defer to Justin, I know we're gradually doing it.
Yeah, we're doing an intersection or two a year for the traffic signals you're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing a couple a year.
Yeah, just kind of finished and we're kind of rotating through again another cycle, so I think that might be the norm going
Becomes a
forward.
routine cost that's
Yeah.
put in, okay.
We'd also talked about looking at flooding down by the old Southeast School, but you said the
So that
engineering.
we do not have a full report back
Right.
on. And that's the only reason we didn't put that into this mix as well, is we want to make sure we have that figured out, what the cost will be.
Right.
We have estimates, but I don't know if we have a true map of what it's going to do, where it's going to go. That's not
Right.
done enough to where I'd want to introduce it and hope.
Okay,
Because the other side of it is we do have limitations on how long this money can stay. You'd have to spend it in a certain amount of time. So much for purchasing, so much for projects. And that's federal to where if you don't, then we get a little bit of a jam with them. So that's why we just don't want to put in stuff just to put in stuff. We got to make sure we can accomplish it hopefully in the year, 2 years tops, as to when we get it offered.
okay.
So about three,
So the GO is if it's where we read it off, and that and I'll just give you the total and you can pick it apart, whatever you want to do with it, but the 500,000 for 10th, the 100 for cemetery, 960 for the golf portion of Geo. The 13th, again, I'll ask you to leave it at half if you would, if you do the project, and then equipment at 750, puts it at about 2.8, 2.81 is the number I have for Geo. Hopefully, Val didn't fall over, so I think that's a good number.
Okay, so say that again. So 10th was about 500.
Yes, ma'am, 100 for the cemetery road in front of the building that we're
That's about 100K, I think.
100.
Okay. And then
Golf
13th,
clubhouse is 960. That's the
Okay.
most you can do without a referendum.
then 13th worst case scenario was about 500.
5, yeah, we're hoping for less, but 5 is where it sits. And if it drops a bunch, we can issue less. You know, until we actually issue, get our documentation, we will have not to exceeds done. This still could back down. This is just, again, worst case,
Okay.
depending what you want to do.
And then equipment,
We have
maybe
about 750
750.
after
Okay.
trade-in and the other fund
So about
participation.
2.8.
2.8, and we've got 3 coming off, is what you
Yes.
said to start with.
And that's
Yeah.
coming off when?
Now,
Now.
so it'll be off when we start our payments. It's already, in fact, we're taking it off early to make room for this because we had fund balance there that we didn't need to keep and shouldn't keep. And so that's actually going to be off before this starts. So that will make room, which is why
Okay.
it's actually a lower debt levy amount than it is for last year, by like a dime or something like that. I mean, but it still is more because of pricing, but I mean, it's almost a dime less than last year. So levy is actually less.
Okay.
It's that fund, we lower the levy, but the taxes still may go up because your
Yes, sir.
values went up. And
Values go up
Okay.
and.
That's
So we're
all.
sort of holding even with,
On debt, we are. We
Yeah.
actually dropped a little on the overall rate, the insurance and that is what's kicking us a little bit. Again,
Yeah.
we'll try and better that some. But we're trying to keep the levy as low as possible. I know people focus on that, but it's simply a byproduct of valuation and spending, so.
It's, from my perspective, it's, as I was coming in, I was thinking we don't have a lot of money to do much. We're not doing many projects, but at least we're still doing some projects.
Yes, sir.
And it goes back to if you're not building, you're dying, so you still have to grow some. But we're not incurring any additional from what we're currently at. So we're kind of, the progress is treading water more or less, but again, as people talk about our tax rates and whatnot, and, we lower our levy, school or county raises theirs,
Vice versa.
county, community college raises theirs, tax rates go up. We get blamed for all of it. Because they like to come after the city, and there's multiple taxing agencies, but, it's part of it there. We're being very responsible. You guys are always tight as you can be with this. There's no fluff in this budget. There's not extra in there. When we're saving money for things, it's putting aside money for future purchases of equipment, so we don't have to do it all at once and have big spikes and up and down. So it's extremely responsible budgeting. A lot of thanks to the directors and to James and to Val for looking at all of this. I think you guys every year do a tremendous job.
But as we stated, even with this, if you did it all, you would still lower taxes unless your valuation went up high enough, you wouldn't. So this is not just automatically compounding. Some years that happens. It's just gonna go up no matter what, and we're making it worse. This is not one of those years. I mean, I can't say it's gonna go down again, because I don't know what your individual house did. But if it didn't do anything, it will go down. And that's the best we can tell you. And I don't want people to think, well, it's an automatic, it all goes. This is your decision. We don't have to do any of these projects. We can do all of them. It's whatever you want to do, and there's more if you want to do them. We thought these are the ones that are the most vital on the list. Things that we've talked about for years, things that we know we need to get going because it's water and sewer instead of wells and septics are probably a better idea when the city limits. And so it's those kind of projects that we want to make sure we bring to you. We can certainly do any other ones you'd like to, but these are the ones that we've tried to weed out and say these are probably more vital based on our discussions in the past and the needs you're seeing from having broken up streets to problems underneath the ground to at least be considered. So, as you stated, there's a bunch of other ones that we could do, but we're trying to find better ways to fund them than just putting it on the tax roll. And that's what we're hoping to accomplish before we bring them back. So discussion among all of you, this is where this sits. Local option would be 1.6, SRF would be 5 point something, 2, 4, somewhere in there, depending on when our better numbers come in.
Well, as the new guy, this seems like we're taking care of business first. You know, you need the basics, you need the water, you need the sewer, you need the streets,
Right.
things that everybody uses, and what's left over can be used for whatever. And if we've got buildings that are not compliant, we've got, you know, sewers that don't work, we need a well, let's do that first. And then look at other things.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, having been through a few of these, I mean, the department heads always come in, you know, expecting not to get more money unless it's insurance, personnel issues,
Right.
that sort of thing. And I appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, it sort of goes in waves, you know. We've done quote-unquote non-essential projects. I mean, I'm not sure any projects these days are non-essential, because if you want a city that's going to grow and be vibrant, you have to have things like parks and trails and facilities for people to use. Those are essential to a vibrant community. So, I mean, I think there's potential to get pushback on the golf clubhouse.
Sure.
But I think it's a worthy project. We have to be ADA compliant, not just have to, you want to be, that's the right thing to do. And we've talked at past meetings about our investment in the golf course and the staff there, and it's paid off. I mean, they're actually making money, it's growing, it's popular, it's highly rated. It's an investment, and I think we should have a nice clubhouse up there. And you have ratcheted it back so that it's more realistic.
Less than half.
Yep, and I think that's a good idea. You know, we do need a new well, but I appreciate, you know, we need to wait, we don't have the costs. Need to look at that and discuss it later, but to get the sewer lining, the lift station, bringing Heinz Addition into the city system, it's necessary. So I think that list sounds good.
Jen?
Yeah, I just appreciate the fact that even in the limited amount of time that I've been here, the third year, how the departments have gotten more efficient at getting down to what is really needed. And I really appreciate the work that's gone into that. I agree with the golf course. I don't utilize it that often, but when I do, it would be great that if it was ADA, and we should, as we own it, it should be accessible. And not only that is, I could see people who don't utilize that facility going, why are we spending our tax money? It brings a lot of people into town that then spend money in town, and then potentially would want to live here. So it's an investment, and it's worth. I appreciate the fact that it's gotten really drilled down.
And you shouldn't feel, you know, I think if you want to go up there for an event, right, or go up there to buy something at the pro shop, if you're using a walker, if you are in a wheelchair, you can't get in there. And you feel marginalized enough, it seems like, without having that barrier. And so we just need to be an accessible community, and we're trying to do that little by little, right, with housing projects, et cetera, but that's the right thing to do.
And we weren't accessible in this very building,
Right, I know.
and we are now, but
I
we were
know.
not. And
I
then
know.
again, we're a government building. We need to be following those regulations. Now, we can piecemeal something into that building. It's not gonna look good at all. We can piece it in, tear it up, put in some ramps, things like that, but again, that's not the point of the whole
Right.
structure is, it's just
Right.
chop it up and put it in there. It's been chopped up enough, it's time to actually make it look like it's all one building again. And get it servicing the modern version of what this is. I mean, it's 31,000 rounds, I don't disagree. I'm not gonna ever pit project against project, but there's other projects that don't generate that many people, that spend a whole lot more money in this. I think at some point in time, it has to go. And I don't know that it's gonna get any easier.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I also appreciate I don't want to call it creative accounting, because that sounds
it's what it is.
shady, but I appreciate that you're always looking for, how can we fund this in a legitimate way that isn't property tax driven? You know, and you laid it out really nicely, and I appreciate all your work and Val's work in sorting all this out, because it is so complicated. So it's appreciated.
Works on paper, that's all I can tell you.
Right.
We'll prove it out here in a little while, but it works on paper, so.
Luann, any questions, or still overwhelmed by everything that's coming at you?
Yeah.
Normal.
Excuse me.
Okay. We have anything else?
Today, sir.
That's all you have?
I just
So,
need to know that we're good on here, and I think by consensus, I guess we would say we are.
I
good.
think so.
Julie, have anything
I
to
I
pitch
haven't
in?
heard anything from Julie in opposition, and I know she's in because she's asked me a couple of questions.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess at this point, I would take a motion to adjourn.
I'll move that we adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned.